Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys had a good and restful weekend.
Yeah, right. Rest and the trucking industry, they just simply don't mix.
Today I will be making a video unlike any I have done in the past. We will be looking at real numbers of what you can earn if you're hauling a flatbed trailer. Now, as many of you know, I don't actually have experience with flatbeds, but what I do have is this wonderful load board that allows me to see rates and loads for different equipment types. Now, I got this idea from one of you. Unfortunately, I don't remember which one of you it was, but whoever you were, thank you so much.
Well, it's not really a surprise that you can't remember because your brain is kind of useless.
Anyway, there are going to be two parts in this video. Part one, we'll be comparing the loads that we did with the dry van last month to similar loads that would be done on a flatbed. And part two would be a more realistic view of what it would be like operating on a flatbed and booking different loads. Ready? Let's go! Now, I realize that this video is not going to be 100% accurate because after all, the dry van operated throughout the month last month, and I'll be comparing it to today's flatbed rates. I will basically be looking at similar loads, but only for today from different market areas. So there are a ton of variables I can't really control: date, commodity, location, and current market situation. Again, the dry van operated all throughout last month, and I'm looking at rates for today for the flatbed. But at least this video will give you an idea of what could potentially happen if you were hauling a flatbed. All right, guys, so the first thing I did was I mapped out all of our loads for the dry van last month, the location and destination, the rate and the mileage. And then what I did was I just put into the load board flatbeds and I tried to compare similar locations and what the rates are, what the mileages are. I tried to keep the mileages the same or as similar as possible. So what did we come up with? Well, the only load that was pretty different was this Arizona to Wisconsin because there was nothing for flatbeds going from Arizona to Michigan. Other than that, it looks like everything else is pretty much the same. The miles are pretty similar, not exactly the same, but this is what we get. We get $42,926 just about gross with the dry van that we did for about 17,178 miles, and that came out to about $2.50. Using this as a guide, the flatbed would have made $45,791, so about $3,000 more, for less miles, 17,033 miles, bringing us to $2.69 per mile. So if you look at it load by load, yeah, you can see like from California to Arizona, flatbeds are doing much better. From Arizona to Wisconsin to Arizona to Michigan, I mean, we can't really compare those two because they're different states. From Ohio to Arizona, the flatbed actually gets less than a dry van, but keep in mind, these are posted rates on the load board. This is without any negotiation, so that might change. Arizona to California here also is less. California to North Carolina is less. So basically what you can do is just pause the video and look at it load by load. Again, blue is flatbed and red is dry van.
Okay, so this was the most ridiculous way of doing this. There are too many differences there.
I agree. So let's be a little bit more realistic, and for that, I'm going to share my computer screen. Make sure to switch on that HD quality. Okay, let's look at a more realistic version by putting in how I would actually book loads if we were to have a flatbed, not copying the routes we took with the dry van. So let's start in the same place where we started with our dry van, which was Olancha, California. Now with the flatbed, I would probably want to keep to one of these zones right here. There is not a ton of freight, as you can see, from Olancha, California to these zones, which is very, very interesting, but let's say this is what I had to choose from. Now, bear in mind, I am not very aware of the market for flatbed. So let's actually see what the market conditions are. So this is what we see. We can see that California is okay. Most of the loads are good to the East Coast and the South. Okay, so let's put that in. There we go. Let's say I were to book a load to somewhere like, I mean, it's pretty crappy rates, but let's say to Houston, Texas. So just so you guys know, I'm going to keep track of this in the spreadsheet, and then I'll put it up on the board. So now let's look at Houston, Texas. Okay, so not North Dakota probably, but something like South Carolina looks good. Yeah, I would book this load. So let's say Houston, Texas, which is 0 deadhead, to South Carolina. So that is another 2-day load. So that's 5 days into the month. Then we are going to look at Greenwood, South Carolina. And we'll keep everything like this. We'll just add zone 7 and maybe zone 8 as well. I believe Arizona is pretty good. Let's double check. Yeah, it's okay. So from here on out, this is 5 days in. Let's say, I mean, I kind of like this load, but again, the market map for Michigan is cool. So no, I would not book this load. Let me actually change this. I'm going to remove zone 4 and zone 5. And let's see what we get. Okay, so I would probably go for something. I mean, Florida, I don't know what Florida is like. According to the market maps, it's pretty okay, the northern part of Florida. But yeah, I would take a risk. I would book a load to Florida probably, and it disappeared somewhere. Where is Florida? So I would probably book this load. It's a 1-day load. Next, let's look at what is coming out of Florida, and I would probably book something. Yeah, see, out of Florida, there are loads, but they're all crappy. So I'd probably book something that is a 1 or 2-day load. This seems like it could be a 1-day load, the North Carolina load. So yeah, I would probably do this. It is actually a 1-day load because I'm looking on Friday today and it delivers tomorrow. So yeah, I would book this load from Florida. Now, keep in mind, I'm not considering any restarts or resets here. But I'm going to try to keep it within the realms of reality. So next is North Carolina. Okay, lots of loads here. And let's see. This one's not great. This one is okay. Maybe we want to go back to Phoenix, Arizona. Would I book this load? Maybe. I would raise them to $6,000, but yeah, maybe. So 2,094 miles would be approximately a 3 to 4 day load. Let's say it's 3 days, so we're on day 10. Okay, back in Phoenix, Arizona. What would we book from here? Definitely not to Colorado. Definitely, well, maybe to New Mexico. I don't know. What does New Mexico look like? It looks pretty good. Let's see if that's true. Okay, let's say we book this load from Arizona to New Mexico, which is a 1-day load. So we're on day 11. So this is New Mexico. Okay, there are not a ton of loads here, but they pay pretty okay. I would probably book this load to Texas. I like this load. So yeah, let's say New Mexico to Texas. That's 1,500 for 71 miles. So that's another 1-day load. We're on day 12 here, and we're going to do a total of 14 loads because that's what we did for our dry van, and that will kind of keep me within the realm of reality with the restarts and everything. So we are on load 8, I believe, or 9. So from Texas, Merkel, Texas, probably mispronouncing this. Okay, there are not a ton of loads, just 75 exact matches here. I really like the Baltimore, Maryland, but let me see what, I mean, Maryland looks cool. Yeah, it's not really good. But you can deadhead. As you can see, the market next to on the other half of Maryland and Delaware and West Virginia are pretty good. You know what? I would probably take a risk. I would take a risk and book this load. Okay, next, let's see what kind of situation we would be in if we were to book a load to Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, 96 matches. Ooh, I like this load. I wonder what's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with it. I would totally book something like this, but I do try to do 2-day loads instead or 1-day loads. So maybe I would actually book something a little bit simpler, maybe something like this for $1,748. And Tennessee is pretty cool, so maybe not. But for some reason, I have a feeling that Tennessee is actually not as bad as this map shows. So let's see if I'm right. So let's say from Pennsylvania to Tennessee, then from Morristown, we'll keep everything the same, and let's see what yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as the market made it seem, so that's good. I really like, I mean, this load looks bomb. I would probably get this load. Now I'm trying to get almost the same amount of miles as we did with our dry van and the same amount of loads within this spreadsheet. So I think we need a few more longer loads because we're just at 8,651 miles loaded at the moment, whereas with the dry van loaded miles were 17,000 something. So let's take a long load, like one long load. Let's say I take this one because this is the first one that comes up. Yeah, I think I would take this load. It's not wonderful, but it's okay. Now, again, back to Phoenix, Arizona. All right, let's say that this is the only load that we can book. Arizona to Florida. Not a great rate per mile, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. From there, I would take a load. Wow, Medley, Florida is a bad place to be. Okay. So let's say I book a load less than $2 per mile. I would not touch if I had a choice. Texas. Okay, let's do that. So Florida to Texas. Yeah, maybe we won't get to those 17,000 miles like we did with the dry van. I would probably book something to, New Jersey. This looks like a good load. What is New Jersey like? New Jersey is, okay, it's warm. It's okay. So now let's go back to the board to see what it would look like if I was booking for a flatbed. Okay, now we're back. We looked at the loads on the load board and how I would be booking for flatbeds, and all those loads are here. So I started off in California just like the dry van, and then I did my own thing, just experimenting how I would book loads if we were hauling a flatbed trailer. And what you find, and I know this is just approximate, it would be 15,851 miles, about 1,000 some miles less than with the dry van. It would be 51,000 plus gross, which is about $9,000 more than the dry van, putting you at $3.24 per mile. So I understand that the way we looked at the numbers is a little bit crazy, but the best part is that they actually match up with the current real flatbed rates, which are over $3 per mile.
So why are you not getting a flatbed?
Actually, I think we will be getting a flatbed shortly, and that will allow me to have a deeper understanding of that sector, which I will of course share with you guys. For those of you who actually do operate flatbeds, let me know what you think. How far was I off with the approximate calculations? Do they seem realistic? I'd be super curious to find out. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.